The Portland Trail Blazers get in the win column last night, knocking off the Philadelphia 76ers in a Summer League tilt. Wasn't the prettiest of basketball games, but I'm here to tell you guys it is Summer League.
Yeah, that does not usually equal good basketball.
But 97-95, it was an entertaining game up until the end for the hometown team. And I think the thing that really stood out the most to me was the presence that Donovan Clingan showed in the basketball game. Look, we've gone over this time and time again, and I think that it just bears repeating because you don't want to get too far over your skis, but don't overreact to one singular game or a series of plays by a guy. Just look at and take growth in the glimpses in a summer league. And what we're seeing from Donovan Clingan is that this young man does have the tools to be successful in the NBA. And we said that yesterday. But last night, I think what we were able to see was some more of those flashes in his game. The comfort level will hopefully continue to grow for Donovan Clingan because I think at the beginning of that game, it was wildly apparent. The dude's ability to pass is something that we did not give enough credence to, and he was not talked about for his ability to pass the ball as much as he maybe should. And again, you don't want to get too over your skis. It's not like we have Arvydas Sabonis or Nikola Jokic out there.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to be accusing him of that. But the guy in his basketball IQ, which was said to be through the roof and something that he really kind of leaned on to be successful while at UConn, that is where all great passers shine, is your basketball IQ is high. It is anticipation and being able to read what a defense is doing. And we saw that really from the opening possessions. From the get-go, he was facilitating in the offense as a big, and especially when you have a team like Portland where, look, Summer League, lacking shooters right now, right?
Yeah.
And a bona fide ball handler. And that's something that we've seen, even last year with Scoot Henderson going through his growing pains during his rookie year. It was having the more guys that you can have that can turn into facilitators in your offense, the better off you're going to be, especially a young team with the way Portland is right now. That was a surprising, especially the way that he was able to do it and find guys open, thread the needle on a bunch of passes. That was a pleasant little surprise that we got last night from Donovan Clingan, something that that he does have, but to that gravity, I don't think we had quite seen. And that's a big question mark, is what does that look like as you translate from college to the NBA?
Well, and you got to love seeing, 5 assists coming out of that center position.
And look, his rebounding, his defensive abilities shine throughout the course of the game. And that's where he's going to make his money, and that's where the butter's going to be, or the bread's going to be buttered in the NBA. There's still a ways to go, timing, speed-wise, catching up to the game. But last night was a solid step forward for him in that progression that you say, all right, what are the Portland Trail Blazers getting at 7 here? Okay? But that presence is something in just being physically 7'2", and being as big as he is, like you watch him run up and down the floor. And again, when it gets into, the regular season of the NBA, it won't be as pronounced as it is in the Summer League. But his physical presence, and then with the basketball IQ and his ability in anticipation, whether it be passing, rebounding, blocking shots on the defensive end, creating deflections, that is something that you love to see from a guy just 2 games into his Summer League. He had a cool ass dunk in the third quarter. I love if the Portland Trail Blazers have a center that likes to put ball through rim.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you are that big, that dunk in the third quarter, they were just waxing poetic about, the hiring of Chauncey Billups on the broadcast, and then, bam! It was that explosiveness getting to the rim. Again, how many times are we going to see that during an 82-game season against other established veterans and pros? I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's good to see last night.
Yep.
It was great to see last night. And I will say that and I don't know how many people watched the entirety of that summer league game because it's on NBA TV. Home Run Derby was going on for a majority of it. Yeah. The fact of the matter is that when the first run, where that was a tough one in game one, right? He looked gassed. He looked, like the speed of the game was a little bit too quick for him. Game two, things already slowed down a little bit for him. The Blazers built an 8-point lead during his first shift. He goes off the floor, and immediately Philly goes on like a 12-1 run.
Yeah.
Okay. His presence early was felt. You go to the end of the game. Okay. It is crunch time, and Donovan Clingan ended up making what was the play of the game. Defending the inbound, the size, and again, that basketball IQ, okay, playing a role in this, but mostly his size being a deterrent, causing a 5-second violation and creating that turnover in a one-possession game. It's those little things that you just sit there and you're like, hey, all right.
It's a cliche, but those things that don't show up in the box score.
Well, and that's the presence thing that if you draft a guy in the top 10, you want a little bit of that. Okay, he makes plays when they matter type guy.
Absolutely.
Okay. Again, let's take it all with a grain of salt. All right. But those things, it would be foolish to ignore them. There are things that you sit there and you finishing at the rim. It was a struggle early again, but it was in over the course of the game. If you look at his box score and his stat line, 4 of 11. Okay. 7'2". You're getting a bunch of your shots at the rim. You want to be a little bit more efficient than that, right? 0 for 1 from threes. That pushes him to 0 for 4 in Summer League from beyond the arc. Again, it's progression. There's obviously things that, are not going to be polished right now. And on the offensive end, he is not. Okay?
Yeah.
But he had a cool-ass dunk. And he was dishing the ball, and his ability to pass was something that it was a flash and good to see. But on the other things, there were also times like he talked about after game one, right? Timing on those floaters through the lane, and there's going to be the stair step that you move forward with. I thought he did a better job of, not just watching the ball and anticipating where the ball was going to be coming off the rim, but finding guys boxing out, those little kind of things where when things start slowing down for you. All right, the little things start to add up again. Still some work to be done in those regards.
Yeah.
But I think through 2 games, if you're out on Donovan Clingan, I don't know what is wrong with you.
Yeah. Well, because if you're starting to see these incremental changes in his game, and that he's learning from game 1 to game 2 of Summer League, that's a good sign that he's picking things up quickly.
Yeah, and then look, last night was pretty cool to see guys like Justin Minaya, was it Jackie Tway, the Chinese sharpshooter. They had some bucket getter stretches during that game. Bryce McGowan had quite the fourth quarter. The guy that they just signed to a 2-way deal coming in to Summer League. He had 7-point fourth quarter that proved very timely in a 2-point game at the end. Nothing that I'm going to overreact to at all. Ryan Rupert and Chris Murray are both still, you're wanting to see that growth as they kind of move forward, but they're working all with new pieces. TBD. Nobody was expecting those guys to come in and be all-stars. You were looking for, can they grow into guys that are serviceable role players and eat up minutes for the Portland Trail Blazers this season? That's where you're at with both of those guys, and you want to see growth and development from both of them. Don't go through this whole thing and sit there and say we're in or out either way on any of these guys, because there truly are 3, maybe 4 if you want to add Minaya in there, as guys that are going to be contributors to the Portland Trail Blazers this season.
Yeah. Well, Minaya was basically, I don't remember, is he still on a 2-way contract, or is his all guaranteed now? Anyway, he's an end of the bench kind of guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas even with Repair and Murray, you're still looking at maybe 8, 9, 10.
Boy, and I'll tell you what, there were so many missed shots in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, not just missed, I think we had a stretch where there was 3 or 4 air balls in a row.
That's rough.
Vegas Summer League.
Yeah.
He's not for the faint of heart.
No.
I mean, you got guys. It's rough.
I mean, it's one thing if you got a bunch of Masons out there laying bricks, but yeah, if you're not even drawing rim.
But Donovan Clingan, I think that a solid start through 2 games. Blazers back at it tonight. They get the Washington Wizards, where they will face off, and he'll have a legitimate test against one of the high-end bigs in this year's draft, against Alex Sarr in the Washington Wizards tonight. But his start to the game looked far more comfortable in game 2 as opposed to game 1, and then finishing stretch in that fourth quarter. Only 2 points in the fourth, but 4 rebounds. 2 of them offensive rebounds, creating extra opportunities for the team. 2 assists, a block, and then that forced 5-second violation. It was good to see from Donovan Clingan, and then Bryce McGowan with a 7-point fourth quarter. Blazers win, and you saw a little bit of growth from each of the pieces that you are wanting to see that growth from, whether it is Clingan, Rupert, Murray, or even Justin Minaya.
Yeah.
Summer League basketball is really tough, though.
Yes.